Alright, and we're live. Luvion, how's it going, buddy? How you doing? After Lee's, how's it going? Well, sinus. Okay, so N O NS, that doesn't make any sense. It has to be N. Plague, Milos, how's it going? It's me, the #1 To Be Hero X fan. Alright. Good-ish? Why the ish? Luvion. Okay, no. So it has to be okay, so it has to be N and some kind of consonant. That's how I'm thinking. Dr. Z, how's it going? A bit sick? Ah, that sucks. I've thankfully not been sick in a little bit now, which is good, because I've been so sick over the past year. I'm so fucking done with it. Fool, how's it going, man? Seer! Hey, buddy, how's it going? Okay, so NXISY. Wilhelm, how's it going, buddy? Long time no see. Okay, NXISY. Okay, what would go? Oh, I'm so stupid. Of course. It was, Livion. I just needed my brain to start waking up. We're okay. You take the supplement? Yes, Dr. Z, I have been taking it, yes. I don't know if it's because of that I haven't gotten sick, or stroke of luck or whatever, but either way, I haven't gotten sick since I've started taking it. Loop, how's it going, buddy? Let me turn on my fan really quickly. How do you feel about good, Luvion, good. I like having money. It's cool. I like being able to buy shit on impulse. Got flu shot. I never get flu shots. Nothing like no reason. I normally never used to get sick, so I never found a reason to get them. So like, oh, fuck it. First time being so early, I get to see the pre-read games. Yeah, I try to go live about 15 minutes before the scheduled time, and then I can do some like Wordle, some connections, some whatever. I feel like it like jives my mind awake. Like I feel like, okay, I feel like sharp. I feel like, okay, like I can do stuff. Main compass. Main. Door. Key. Portal. Gate. Door, portal, gate, hatch. There we go. Topical inset. Best, top, main, better. Key. Shit. Pushcar, Scarlight, how's it going, guys? Also, I'll probably have chapter ranges for the rest of the month sometime later today. Yeah, no worries, Livian, appreciate it. Have you tried Disorderly? No. Is that another daily web game? Better Fleet Compass. Beating. Downing. Yeah? Oh, I'll check that out. I missed past 2 streams. Were there any big reveals? What happened last stream? I feel like something happened last stream, but I can't remember what. Forrest became a demigod last stream. City of Silver got moved outside the all of City of Silver and Moon City. Merlin, the name reveal, yes. Beat Downing. I don't know. Oh, don't save me, yes. Merlin, how's it going, buddy? I watched Northern Line. Oh, I see. Love that guy. Are you big on Pokemon? No. I like Pokemon, but I'm not like I never played a huge ton of it growing up. I didn't have a 3DS, so I never got to play much of it. But I watched the anime a lot, so it was slightly anticlimactic. I love Northern Lion. He's goated. Have you read the novel? Which novel? What now? Topwood Scale. Old people flock together. You a bitch. Top scale best main better main. Fuck. Oh, of course. What was the one you said, Seer? Have you? Disorderly game. Okay, sort these careers by the percentage of 12 to 15-year-old girls who would say they would want to be it when they grow up. Okay, I would assume, in my mind, content creator should be first nowadays, I would assume, according to 2025, yeah. I would assume content creator would be like first, but this is worldwide. No, I would assume content creator to be first, like, no, I'm gonna assume it's first. And then I'm gonna assume like teacher. I'm gonna put. How do you guys feel about it? I feel like this would be the good. I got to love doing some Trig homework. Oh, I love Trig. In fairness. Amnesiac, how's it going? If you want more daily games, I can give you some. I appreciate that. We'll see how this one goes here. Veterinary is higher than teacher. You think so? You think vet would be first? I think vet is higher. Okay, you can swap that. What did you think of the Volume 6 ending? You think athlete is below writer? True. If it was just journalist, I would put it lower, but true. Journalist, do you think should be higher than teacher? I'd hard disagree. No, hard disagree. And DSV, how's it going, buddy? Try Pokudo. It's a Pokemon Wordle. Bro, I won't know them enough. I promise I won't know them enough. No, I don't think athlete will be higher. Alright, you wanna go? Let's go for this. What does this mean? Oh, that only this one is right? Is that what that means? Only this one is right? No shot. So vet. I'll put up here then, maybe. That's so bad. I was so sure. Okay, vet. Okay, we'll put vet higher. We'll put journalist higher. Yeah, I don't know teenage girls. I'm glad that's the case, Dr. Z. What do you... Let's try this. Oh! Oh god. Why no warning? It was scheduled for like a day, Romero. Come on. Okay, whoever said veterinary at the top, you're wrong. It's teacher. You guys are just wrong. You guys are wrong. It's teacher. You're all just wrong. We're gonna do this. My content creator is in second. Maybe it's third, and maybe this is this, and this is this. Okay. If I ever beat non-DLC, I beat every non-DLC, but oh shit, nice, Romero. Nice. Zaza, how's it going, buddy? Okay. Wow, this is so bad. Okay. Content creator is not down here, so I'm gonna replace scientist with that. No, but it can't be scientist. I tried it down there, so it has to be vet. No, maybe it's teacher. Is it vet? Okay, it's vet. It's vet. No worries, Unhinged. You're good. Arthur, how's it going, buddy? I'm doing good too, Zaz. I'm doing good too. I feel good. Still, the most hated one is Shadow of Yharnam. Shadow of Yharnam is rough. I fucking told you guys vet isn't first, but no one listened. You know what? You were right, Pushkar. I apologize. Content creator isn't first. Scientist is first. Content creator is second. Scientist is first. I am so glad. I am so happy. That's so good. Scientist is first. That's amazing. Average 4.3. Wallflower, how's it going, buddy? I did not expect scientists to... You have never met a teenage girl who wanted to be a teacher? I've met... I feel like when I was in high school, it was like so common for girls to say they wanted to be teachers. Am I crazy? Science is the magic of our world, after all. A hard agree. Not gonna lie, I don't believe that teenage girls want to be scientists more than... I know, I agree. Bullshit. I agree. I feel like they would all... I feel like every one of them would be content creator. Fucking... no, I want to make YouTube videos. I've not met many girls. Ramiro has a small sample size. Yeah, this is true. It is around the world. That's why I put content creator second instead of first. If it was like Canada or US or UK, I would go content creator first. I know, I feel like it's so I feel like when I was in high school, it was so common for girls to say like, oh, I want to be a teacher. Most of them aren't gonna end up becoming teachers. I understand that, but like, it was common for them to say it. All right, let's get... if it was here, content creator would be last. That's probably true. Okay. All right, let's get started. Chapter 1300. We are in the last... We are in the final stretch, boys. Nightwalker, how's it going, buddy? Okay. Bernadette stared at the outline for a long time until it gradually became cleaner as the dawn approached. It was the silhouette of a large island. On the island, there were huge, towering, dark green trees that almost bordered on black, covering the ground of the mountain. Although Bernadette couldn't be sure that this was the primitive island that her father had once visited, her intuition as a clairvoyant told her it was likely the same place. As the coastline entered her eyes, she pursed her lips and lowered her head, chanting an honorific name. The fool that doesn't belong to this era. Right on the heels of that, Queen Mystic raised her hand and made the crewless Dawn stop in the nearby waters without approaching the shore. At the same time, the sound of pianos, violins, cellos, flutes, and other instruments interweaved into a lively tune. As the music echoed, the toast, steak, mashed potatoes, and fried mushrooms and other dishes on the plate jumped up one after another and returned to the oven, amidst a dance, or threw themselves into the trash can. I've never met someone who wanted to be a vet. I feel like I've met a couple. I remember when I was like a couple years ago, when I was like 18 or 19 or something. I was working with someone. She just started when I was working at the bank. She started after me, and she quit like a couple months in because she was like, "No, this is too stressful. I got a job as a vet's assistant, so I'm gonna go do that instead." And she loves it because she was like the sweetest person I've ever met. She was just like literally like a fucking like a bowl of honey. She was like unironically the sweetest person I've ever met. Like she had no edge to her at all. She was just so sweet. And so she was like, "No, this is too stressful for me. I can't do this." I wish her well. Vanitas. Yes, I'm pulling it up, Kami. Your friend doesn't like touching cats. Could never be a vet. The red wine bottle, dining cloth, white dining cloth, and other items had all returned to their original positions. They either sealed themselves with wooden corks or kept themselves folded themselves neatly. Then Bernadette gently threw out a bright, unrealistic ball of yarn with her right hand. Comfort or money in a job? It depends, Wilhelm. The answer is how much comfort and how much money. That's the correct answer. Like, it just depends. Like, if it's like an ungodly amount of money, then it's like, you know what? Fuck it. I will do that for 3, 4, 5 years, just, ripping my hair out, but then I can just retire. Fuck it. Yeah, I can live with that. But if it's like a little bit more money, but it's like way more fucking... difficult and stressful for like a little bit more money, fuck that, I don't care. This Queen Mystic wasn't in a rush to... Wait, no. The ball rolled into the void, leaving behind a thread. Bernadette followed it and strolled through the spirit world before arriving at the border of the island. This Queen Mystic wasn't in a rush to head deeper. She searched for the existence of the possible Black Emperor mausoleum and cautiously made her sea-like blue eyes turn dark and deep. She temporarily lost focus as though she was prying into the secrets of the River of Fate. A few seconds later, Bernadette's eyes returned to normal as she subconsciously looked up. She felt as though she was being watched. Of course, this was something she had expected, as she had taken the initiative to recite Mr. Fool's name. Like, the buy-sell... Yeah, exactly, Wallflower. Like, the amount of stress you have, like, when you're working in, like, investment banking on, like, the buy-sell side is enormous. But those are mid-six figures. Like, your salary is, like, 300 or 400 grand pre-bonus. And your bonus, depending on how well you do, is, like, in the million. No, I'm not going to say several millions, because that's really rare, but... Like, your year-end compensation works out to be, like, nearly $1.5 million, $2 million. So, like, yeah, if I have to do that, if I can fucking hang on by the skin of my teeth for, like, 3 or 4 years, yeah, I'm happy with that. I can retire. Fine. Above the grey fog in the ancient palace, Klein accommodated the Fool's Card, draped himself with a curtain, and held the Staff of the Stars. He was checking the situation on the island through Queen Mystic's prayer. In his true vision field, the island was shrouded in a thin layer of distorted blackness. It made it impossible for him to see the situation clearly. He could only obtain Bernadette's point of view. Even if it's not the primitive island that Roselle discovered, this place isn't simple. Klein nodded indiscernibly as he waited for Queen Mystic to do a deeper exploration. We are so close to the end, guys. Bernadette didn't use the ball of yarn anymore. She held off a premonition that was going to lead herself into a dangerous abyss that she had no way of fending off. She took out an illusory hat and wore it. Her captain-looking figure disappeared, her existence concealed. This was one of the fairy tale magics that stemmed from the mystical reenactment. At its core was a hat that made one invisible. Then Bernadette followed a path that appeared to have opened by humans and entered the forest consisting of huge trees. There were no birds chirping, no wild beasts, no disturbances of any insects. It was so peaceful, as if time had frozen still. According to Bernadette's understanding, there should be many supernatural beings that had already gone extinct in the outside world. Normally, it would be quite lively, but now she felt as though she was walking through an uninhabited cemetery. If it were any of the Beyonders with a weaker mind, they would have felt tense, burdened with a heavy pressure. They would slowly approach the edge of losing control. But Bernadette's expression didn't change at all as she continued walking. After nearly half an hour, she didn't see any living things or sense any wind. Suddenly, her vision opened up, because the huge trees in front of her had become sparse. Bernadette didn't feel any joy. Instead, she slowed down and raised her hand to press against her glabella. A pair of eyes that were without eyelashes appeared in front of her, looking cold and heartless. Then the pair of eyes of mystery prying was grabbed by an invisible hand and placed on an invisible person's face. This was Bernadette's invisible servant. Yeah, but that comes after Mother of Learning, the Perfect Run ORV. That should be like, maybe, like, what would you guys say? 6-8 months? For all three of those? I can't imagine it would be any more than that. Maybe I'm wrong, but like ORV is 500 chapters. Mother of Learning is about the same. Perfect Run is a manga, so it wouldn't be that long. The invisible servant brought the eyes of mystery prying and quickly crossed the remaining paths to the open forest. During this process, its vision gradually became clearer, as if it was no longer affected by the faint blackness in the air. Finally, the invisible servant arrived at the boundary of the open region and transmitted the situation to Bernadette through the eyes of prying. Outside the sparse forest, there was an empty space. There were countless creatures prostrating there. Among them were red dragons with skin flowing with flames. There were treants that had gnarls for eyes and hollows for mouths. What do you think is going to happen this arc? I think we're going to get to talk to Roselle. I don't know if that means like Roselle is alive or like his spirit body remains via like a mausoleum or something. But like Klein already said that like there's some kind of like black shielding over the island, which in my mind just speaks to the Black Emperor. I feel like Klein has earned it, you know, to just be able to talk to one of his countrymen in his own language, just have a level of comfort with someone else who understands what the fuck he's gone through. I feel like after everything Klein's gone through, he deserves to be able to have like a frank conversation with someone who understands him at a level no one else can. At this moment, they were all facing in one direction. They had their upper bodies or heads prostrated, as though they were worshipping an unknown existence, but none made a sound. This is the same thing that happened to that monkey or whatever, that baboon that had the the Black Emperor thing, right? There were even a few humans among them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. While Bernadette counted the humanoid creatures, her eyes widened. She had learned from the Admiral of Stars cat Leia that the primitive island, which her father had discovered, had a special type of corruption, allowing dead creatures to return here, to the source, regardless of where their corpse was. Amongst the knights who served Roselle, Grimm was the first to be killed. Because of this, followed by William and Poli. However, apart from these three, no one else was sacrificed in these matters, and at that moment there were 5 supernatural or mutated creatures. In addition, Bernadette also knew that her father had resolved the corruption problem and made the island his secret base. Is this not the island? Queen Mystic examined the 5 humans. They were dressed in opulent clothes from Roselle's era, their faces pale and their skin shriveled. They looked more like zombies than people. As the 5 of them were prostrating, Bernadette temporarily couldn't see their faces. She could only patiently wait for the praying to end. A few minutes later, those creatures straightened their bodies and their entire forest came alive. Seizing this opportunity, Bernadette saw the 5 of them and compared them with her memories and the images she knew. Grim. He really is grim. This is the island. That's Uncle William. I remember him. He taught me swordplay. Uncle Poli. She recognized the fourth person. A look of astonishment could be seen on Bernadette's face. That person was Edwards. In Bernadette's memory, the knight had outlived her father. Then he migrated with his family to Lemberg. He hadn't died on this island. According to the information she received from Edwina, Edwards lived for nearly 100 years, dying peacefully, and was buried in a cemetery in the suburbs of Lemberg. Uncle Edwards also returned to this island? Didn't he not experience any corruption and didn't die because of this? Thoughts flashed through Bernadette's mind, one after another. As a result, the eyes of mystery prying on the invisible servant's face kept staring at the human. This gentleman had an old appearance and his hair was white. It was the same as the portrait of the ancestors in his advanced years, the one that Edwina had shown her. From his facial features in the outline, Bernadette could tell what he looked like in his prime. At that time, Edwards was her equestrian teacher. Suddenly, the human who was suspected to be Edwards turned his head and gazed coldly at the invisible servant. Although Bernadette had inherited quite a bit of Roselle's inheritance, she definitely didn't rely on the items to advance to this point in the mysterious world. At that moment, she made a prompt decision and directly made the eyes of mystery prying vanish, allowing the invisible servant to return to the spirit world. Right on the heels of that, she changed her position. At the same time, above the grey fog, Klein tapped the edge of the table and enhanced the probability of Bernadette not being discovered. So goated. He's actually what Leo Darrow is. You know, you just mention the boy's name and he just gives you lightning strikes to help out. What a guy. To Be Heroes X, episode 24 is... Bro, I gotta start watching that again. When the person suspected of being Edwards retracted his blank gaze and walked to a different spot in the island, Klein frowned. What kind of creature is that? He remembered that Roselle had resolved the corruption of the cosmos on this island when he was alive. However, these creatures were still worshipping an unknown deity, holding a mysterious ritual that was close to the earliest description in the diary. After the Emperor's death, did a particular entity from the cosmos infiltrate this place? Or are they worshipping something left behind by the Emperor? Who are the other two? They look like Edwards and Benjamin Abraham. Klein, who was temporarily unable to see what was being worshipped due to the faint black interference, could only follow Bernadette's eyes. After a while, Bernadette, who was proficient at prophesizing, finally confirmed that there was no living creature in the open space. She summoned the invisible servant and gave it the eyes of mystery prying. The invisible servant passed through the sparse areas of the forest, carefully arriving at the spot where the creatures were worshipping. This was a huge rock, and it was a simple baldachin made of dark red wood. The invisible servant circled halfway and arrived in front of the baldachin. It was empty inside. There was no statue, nor any emblem. Lyola, how's it going? What the fuck, it's empty? The creatures on the island were praying to something that didn't seem to exist. New life? Excuse me? Roselle? My go? He's coming back? For real? Called it? Through the eyes of mystery prying, Bernadette saw that the interior of the dark red baldachin was empty. There was nothing there. She was unable to prophesize anything from it, having no choice but to look away. She followed her intuition and made the invisible servant walk towards the other end of the open area, which was also part of the primitive forest. As the invisible servant couldn't be too far away from her, she silently followed behind while wearing the invisible hat. She unhurriedly passed through the area where all creatures on the island were gathered. Here, the sky seemed to be perpetually gloomy. Time passed quickly. The invisible servant entered the forest that blotted out the sky with the tree branches and everything before it dimmed. They consisted of, right on the heels of that, the nearly transparent, cold, undetectable eyes of mystery prying saw through the dim environment. There were pale white corpses placed in between the trees, skulls and rotting corpses hanging down from many branches. They consisted of dragons, avian creatures, and some had 8 legs, while others were strange giant trees that occupied every empty spot in the forest. At a glance, Bernadette seemed to have arrived at a cemetery. A scene naturally surfaced in her mind. A scene of supernatural beings giving birth to their descendants before they died, thus passing their characteristic to them. All these creatures would struggle towards this region in the primitive forest from every direction, in search of an unoccupied space. Then facing a particular direction, they would silently die, gradually rotting. What is the meaning of this? Bernadette believed that the scenes produced in her mind were what had happened in the real world, but she was puzzled as to what kind of power that there could be that made the creatures on this island choose this area as their tomb. Furthermore, since Grimm, William, and Pola had died long ago, appeared to remain alive in some form, it didn't make sense that the supernatural and mutated creatures that had stayed on this island all this while had suffered even more corruption and would end up dying. Autumn, how's it going, man? This made Bernadette frown, as she directed the invisible servant to continue proceeding deeper into the cemetery. Just like that, the invisible servant proceeded forward for nearly 15 minutes in the forest, filled with bones and corpses. Finally, it was a fourth object beyond trees, weeds, and corpses, a black stone pillar, very thick with a width spanning about 6 arm spans, and 30 to 40 meters tall. Its surface was covered with rings, which were signs of weathering. It resembled a finger, wearing rings that didn't suit its size. Bernadette made the eyes of mystery prying observe the stone pillar for several seconds, but she didn't discover anything mysterious about it. The servant looked around and discovered that the surrounding corpses and the stone pillars didn't suffer from serious rot. They were covered in rather intact flesh and skin. There aren't any supernatural powers or effects that are different from other places, unless the new deceased were gathered near the stone pillar. It's impossible for them to have such a unified trend. Bernadette suspected that it wasn't because there was no mysterious influence on this matter, but that it would only happen at a specific moment. I'm wondering what this thing is, because this is not the mausoleum. So, I'm wondering what this black pillar is. She didn't use her powers of prophecy to search for a reason. This was because a prophecy at its core was to pry into the secrets of the River of Fate. The more serious the problem and the higher the status and level, the more dangerous the backlash would bring her. At this moment, it was impossible for Bernadette not to be cautious. In addition, this hadn't caused any harm to her, and she didn't want to take the risk to make a prophecy. Just a black pillar, nothing to see here. After searching for a while to no avail, the invisible servant continued forward, attempting to pass through the cemetery. Just then, Bernadette heard a rustling sound, the sound of a breeze passing through vegetation. Ever since she was on this island, this was Bernadette's first time hearing wind. Subconsciously, she made the invisible servant look back at the stone pillar. In the eyes of mystery prying, the corpse around the pillar began to rot and shed one by one. New flesh and blood grew out like they had their own spirituality, and their skin covered this harrowing scene 1 inch at a time. Excuse me? This change lasted for less than 10 seconds before stopping. A small number of corpses no longer showed any decay, like they had just died. In the next second, a mutated, curly-haired baboon and a wolf with 8 legs wobbled to their feet. Wolf with 8 legs, that's a demonic wolf, or ancient demonic wolf, like the thing that Kotar was? Their fur was slightly white and their skin slightly dry, their eyes dull and cold. Then the two originally deceased creatures got their bearings and left the cemetery. Bernadette's gaze froze as she watched this. Her brows raised slightly as she finally understood why the creatures on this island had struggled to come to this area before dying, and why they had to die here. Here, death, an endpoint, didn't mean entering the state of eternal slumber, but rather a new beginning. This wasn't a resurrection of a zombie or a skeleton that a spirit guide could do. It was a new life. Distortion and disorder of the world's underlying rules. In addition, it seems to contain some mystery from the Black Emperor's resurrection. However, those who obtain new life aren't in a proper state. They're closer to zombies. Such revival is problematic, Klein thought above the grey fog. Even Evernight has 8 limbs? Yeah, we knew that. Whew. Of course, this was under the premise that the Emperor had fundamentally left his last mausoleum here, and exerted some influence here. As he thought about it, Klein rejected this idea. This is because the Emperor became an angel. Before the Emperor became an angel, this survival island had a similar situation. The dead Grimm was proof. The exact details that happened back then might not be the same as what's happening now. Perhaps, compared to the past, it has already been distorted and disordered. Klein prepared to bless and protect Bernadette at any moment. Bernadette also came up with a guess. She didn't allow the invisible servant to stay in its spot to wait for a new tide of life because she had seen a development. After being repeatedly affected by the new tide of life, the invisible servant would oddly develop some sort of sentience and come alive. In addition, it wasn't that the invisible servant hadn't done an investigation prior to this, but it failed to discover anything special about the pillar. In such a situation, it was better to establish a basic understanding of the island than alarm an unknown existence. Many a time there were problems that eluded one in the beginning, but the answer may be clearer nearer to the end. I feel like Cuttlefish lives by this. There were problems eluded in the beginning, but the answer may become clearer near the end. This was thanks to the experience that Bernadette had accumulated over years. The corpses on the trees and the branches grew fewer as the invisible servant moved forward. In this process, Bernadette discovered a new phenomena. In the new tide of life, it wasn't certain that a corpse would be revived. However, once they were revived and left the empty area, the rest of the corpses would be attracted like metal to magnets, and in the next 5 minutes they would stiffly move towards the center, filling up the corresponding spots like they were in line for a bestowment. We got some true creator propagandists? Yes, we do. Yeah. Ramiro is the head of that this branch of the Aurora Order. He's a very strict missionary. In the new tide of life, it wasn't certain that a corpse would be revived. However, once they were and left the area, the rest of the corpses would be attracted. The law of beyond our characteristics convergence? No, that doesn't seem to fit it. The deceased have already passed down their characteristic. What did you mean? Like, he didn't know how to resolve some things earlier? No, Seer, I meant that, like, Cuttlefish always hints at a problem really early on, but then there's no solution to it, but the solution becomes clearer and clearer closer to the end of the problem. It's impossible for the deceased to produce their new characteristics after obtaining new life, but do they still possess their powers in their previous lives? Once I have a complete grasp of the situation, I can find a resurrected to test it out. Bernadette made a decision. She didn't use any beyond her powers other than her invisibility hat. She hoped that she wouldn't disturb the environment and miss out any details. Therefore, she didn't walk fast. She took 15 minutes to leave the cemetery. The invisible servant had already entered the forest up ahead. He could hear the occasional bird chirping and the beast roars. The vibrant vitality here was different from the remaining regions. Praise the true creator. Yeah, okay. An undersea internet cable was cut. Wait, seriously? Oh, like a week ago, I see, yeah. The invisible servants, no, already read that. Above the grey fog, Klein sighed. Thankfully, I am now the owner of Sephira Castle and have the status of a king of angels. I can observe reality for as long as I want and don't have to worry about draining my spirituality. The only thing I do need to pay attention to is my body that's hidden in the ancient city located in the fog of history. After traveling for another few minutes, the invisible servant suddenly saw something that appeared incongruous with the primitive island. A log cabin that seemed to be a residence. A log cabin that was brown in color and less than 2.5 meters tall, like it was prepared for humans. At that moment, the door was open, allowing Bernadette to see inside. A wooden table, a fur-covered bed, and a low-back chair. Who lives here? Bernadette thought, as the invisible servant rapidly approached. It then realized that the interior of the cabin was ice cold. Apart from the furniture, there was nothing else. It seemed as though no one lived here. Just as Bernadette was using the eyes of mystery prying to inspect the details of the cabin, she had a premonition and turned around. At some point in time, a person had appeared behind the invisible servant. He was wearing luxurious clothes from Roselle's era, his hair completely white, and he looked old. He had a pair of blue eyes that were extremely cold and blank. Edwards, the knight who had outlived the Emperor, Edwina's ancestor. Edward stared at the servant for a few seconds. He then opened his mouth and said in a low voice, "Your Highness." He has some rationality? Oh? The plot thickens! So my internet was fucking the whole way? Oh, I see. I totally thought that was Roselle there for a second, I'm not gonna lie. But the little fucker wanted me to think that too. Okay. Bernadette fell silent before replying. Uncle Edwards, why are you here? She used the way she addressed him when she was young to reduce the chances of an accident. Her voice reverberated through the air with the invisible servant as a conduit. Edward's face was pale. I don't know either. When I woke up, I discovered that I had returned to this island. It may be my destiny, a destiny of guarding His Majesty. He paused with every word he said, but he didn't give the impression that he was out of breath. It was as though he hadn't spoken in a long time, and his throat was rusty. Without waiting for Bernadette's further inquiries, the knight who was famous across the continent over 100 years ago added, "His Majesty's mausoleum is nearby. I've been guarding this place, waiting for him to revive. But after so many years, the mausoleum has remained unchanged. There have never been any signs of resurrection." Bernadette made the invisible servant look around and said, You live in this log cabin?" "Yes." I used the surrounding trees to make materials to build the cabin. Uncle Williams and the others aren't with you? They have long been corrupted and are dead. Although they have come back to life, they are more like monsters than their former selves. Your Highness, be wary of them. Do not trust anyone but Benjamin and me. Where's my father's mausoleum? I want to take a look. Okay. He then took a step forward towards the cabin and took out a rusty black axe. I'll take you there. During this process, his expression was stiff and unchanged. Okay, Bernadette responded. Edwards was nearly 1.9 meters tall, and he looked very thin. He carried an axe and walked behind the log cabin and said, "It's very close. Please be careful along the way." After walking through the forest, Bernadette suddenly asked, "Uncle Edwards, what were you worshipping in the empty space back there?" His Majesty. Black axe, why black? I don't know. What are you asking me for? At least 2 kilometers behind him and the invisible servant, Bernadette pricked up her eyebrows. She took nearly 3 seconds to control her emotions. Through the invisible servant, she continued asking, "Uncle Williams and the others are worshipping him?" "No. I don't know what they are worshipping." Bernadette's eyes narrowed, as though she could see some changes in the River of Fate. She didn't ask any more, as she made the invisible servant follow behind Edwards. Amidst the towering trees and the black sharp shrubs, they headed for the island's peak. In 3 or 4 minutes, the trees ahead disappeared. It wasn't a process that went from dense to sparse. Instead, the towering trees suddenly just disappeared after an imaginary boundary line. Beyond the invisible line was a mountain that was hundreds of meters tall, covered by dark green trees, almost black in color. From afar, it was almost as if it was one with the forest, virtually inseparable. But the side of the mountain facing Edwards and Bernadette was almost without vegetation. Half of the mountain had been excavated. In the middle of the mountain stood a pitch-black mausoleum. He excavated at the side of a mountain? This is, you see, and people are like, "Oh, how could the ancient Egyptians make the pyramids?" Bro, we could do some crazy shit. Most of it was part of the mountain range, but a small portion of it had signs of man-made construction. It truly expounded on what it meant to be a mountain mausoleum. Thus, the mausoleum didn't look like a common pyramid. Instead, it looked more like a towering mountain. It wasn't exactly symmetrical, but certainly majestic. Perhaps the mausoleum itself was influenced by the surroundings, or perhaps Edwards had cleansed the area. Its surface was void of weeds, nor was it covered with vines commonly seen in other mountains, allowing Bernadette to see the various texts and symbols engraved on the mausoleum through the eyes of mystery prying. She saw a heavy 30-meter-tall door prepared for giants. Bernadette wasn't unfamiliar with those words and symbols. She didn't take much time recognizing the civil code created by her father. Just as Bernadette was examining it, Klein, above the grey fog, who was completely certain that this was the last mausoleum left behind by Roselle, similar to the mausoleum he had seen in the Tudor ruins, its majesticness and distortion traits of the Black Emperor. After walking out of that forest and passing through the invisible boundary, they arrived at the mausoleum. Edward stopped. He half-turned his body and said to the invisible servant, "Don't go in. It will interrupt the resurrection." Bernadette frowned and thought for 2 seconds before using the eyes of mystery prying to lock onto the mausoleum. Then her blue eyes that resembled the sea became deep, like the surface of the sea. She was prying into the secrets of the River of Fate and making a prophecy for what would happen next. Klein tapped the edge of the table and increased her probability of success. Then he prepared to resist the corruption of the cosmos. Of course, the latter wasn't necessary, because Bernadette had a grade 0 artifact that she could control. Bernadette raised her right hand. Her skin turned white as snow and her lips as red as blood. An illusory ancient mirror appeared. This was Snow White from fairy tale magic. Bernadette used it to enhance her success rate and accuracy. Soon, she saw a scene in her prophecy. A majestic, solemn, dark mausoleum visibly shook as the tall door opened. A huge arm stretched out from the stone door. The style of this arm was close to that of the trees on the island. From its color and state, it looked more like a part of a shadow. However, it wasn't a thin layer, but it was instead filled with flesh and blood. It supported itself with its elbows and moved forward with great difficulty, as though it wanted to pull out bigger and more terrifying parts from within. The entire island began to shake. The eyes of mystery prying suddenly shattered. Bernadette's eyes closed as if she had seen a blinding light. Blood trickled down from the corner of her eyes as the color on her face drained. On her body, a pair of illusory, holy wings spread out, descending upon her with its clean white feathers to neutralize the corruption. Indeed, she does have the ability to resist. The Emperor sure left a huge inheritance for her. Before I taught Ma'am Hermit a lesson, she liked to use the eyes of mystery prying to examine the people and objects around her. Definitely something about how she was brought up. In short, it's all Roselle's fault. Then his mind raced as he analyzed the scene. A terrifying creature crawls out from the mausoleum. It may be the resurrected Roselle, or a symbol of some kind of disaster. For example, a particular outer deity who once corrupted the island. Even if it's Roselle, he definitely wouldn't be taking the form of a human. It's closer to that of a mythical creature or a deity. I don't know if it's rational or if it can even communicate. There's another problem. Was the stone door opened by Bernadette or someone else? Did the creature in the mausoleum do it? If it's the latter, things might develop even if we don't do anything. A prophecy truly filled with ambiguity. Klein conjured a gold coin and flicked it. The results of the dream divination showed the mausoleum was dangerous and safe. How do I interpret this, goddammit? Bernadette took nearly a minute to recover. However, she was temporarily unable to interpret the direction of the prophecy from what she saw. Due to the eyes of mystery prying shattering, there was no way for her to use it to see the various secrets. All she could do was use the invisible servant's perception to observe around her. She then realized that Edwards remained silent and motionless. Oh, by the way, did Easy finish Volume 5 yesterday? She realized that Edwards remained silent and motionless while she was unable to control the invisible servant. After some thought, Bernadette said to Edwards through the invisible servant, "Do you still remember the years you spent in Lundberg?" Wait, nope. He scheduled all those streams and didn't finish it? What? Edward's indifferent eyes moved. I remember. I think. At this point, he seemed to recall something. His expression twisted, as though he was suffering. I think I'm already dead. Yeah, no shit, you're dead, bro. Omae wa mou shindeiru. Already dead, Edwards turned his head and looked at Bernadette's invisible servant, his gaze no longer cold and blank. It emitted a strange glint of disbelief. It was at this moment that he seemed to realize that he had long died and come back to life. He was no different from William Pauline Grimm, who he said she needed to keep guard against. Imagine chilling and suddenly realizing you're gone. I feel like that's how death works, no, Hope? Like you're just chilling and then you just die and you're like, oh, I'm not chilling anymore? Or maybe you're chilling eternally now, who knows? This transformation lasted for 2 seconds before Edward's face twisted. His skin rapidly dimmed as it ruptured beneath his skin as the red pieces of flesh began to rot quickly, dripping foul yellow liquid. With a whoosh, Edward raised the black axe in his hand. The axe ruthlessly cleaved the top of his own head, as though he was trying to stop the bad thoughts surfacing in his mind. The axe was heavy and sharp. It tore through Edward's skull all the way to his glabella. Drops of milky white cerebrospinal fluid dripped down from the axe's blade, sliding across Edward's face, as though he had poured some milk onto a bright red strawberry. Oh, wow. That's very vivid. Don't come near me, Edward said. Before he could finish, his expression returned to its blank state. The look in his eyes turned hollow as he turned around and walked to the forest. That thin, shriveled body of his stooped a little, as though his back was hunched. Bernadette had probed him because of the doubts and concerns she had about entering the mausoleum. All she could do was determine the problem with Edward's existence and see if she could gain any clues. She never expected this knight, who had been famous across the continent, would react in such a way. After 2 seconds of silence, Bernadette made the invisible servant say to Edward's back, "Your descendants are doing pretty well. They were all accomplished, in a certain sense." Edward stopped for a moment, then continued proceeding forward. His target seemed to be the direction of the cemetery, where the deceased would obtain new life. At the same time, Bernadette looked up into the sky. The faint black colors that permeated the area had clearly faded, but there was an indescribable feeling. The entire primitive island underwent a subtle change. Suddenly, Bernadette, who was hiding at the edge of the boundary, rubbed her neck, feeling as though it was heavy. When her left palm touched the target, she realized there was an extra strand of hair. An extra strand of hair. She knows individually how many hairs she has. At this moment, she was wearing an Inta-styled blouse with large lace flowers around her collar, an indigo-patterned captain uniform, and a pair of beige trousers, knee-length boots, and triangular hat. She styled herself that her long chestnut hair was tied into a bun, and the remaining strands in a way that it would reach the middle of her back. But even now, even though the hairstyle remained unchanged, her hair had grown longer and reached her waist. Then Bernadette lowered her head and looked at her right palm and saw the fingernails extending. Bernadette didn't show any signs of panic or surprise. She followed the instincts of a clairvoyant from all the experience she had accumulated, took a step forward through the invisible boundary as she left the primitive forest. During this process, she even made the servant return back to the invisible world. Music change? Oh shit, sorry. Got it. I got it. Got it. Heppa Heppa, on it. Alright, that is my favorite. Which one? End of 1294? Wait, are we on 1294? No, what? No, sorry, wrong one. Only Bernadette, this one. Oh, sorry. Sorry. We're not on 1294, my bad. Oh, is my goat coming back? Is my goat coming back? Three or 4 seconds later, she felt the earth shake and the mausoleum tremble. Suddenly, Bernadette turned to look at the primitive forest. Her gaze froze. The dark green trees were waving their branches and uprooting their roots. Then, like humans, they approached Bernadette. The entire forest had come to life. Excuse me? Looking at the dense cluster of trees that seemed to blot out the sky surging at her, Bernadette had a feeling that doomsday was approaching. A gigantic red dragon with flames flowing across its skin rapidly flew into the sky. An 8-legged demonic wolf began to run madly between the trees. All supernatural beings and mutated creatures on this island stirred and rushed towards the mausoleum. Although she was a clairvoyant, Bernadette didn't expect that her simple, indirect question would raise such an anomaly. Above the grey fog, Klein saw a lot more. He had a guess. The situation of Edwards is different from William, Grimm, and Poli, like a loophole of order. When he realized he was dead, the loophole was discovered by the Order and began to conduit repairs. As the repairs brought with it an enhancement of order, causing the entire island to experience an anomaly. I can sense the Black Emperor's powers are present here. It affected Edwards, causing him to maintain a portion of his will. Where did the original order of the island come from? As Klein's thoughts raced, he sensed Bernadette was facing certain anomalies. Bernadette could hear her own heartbeat, a heartbeat that was chaotic, as if it was a combination of two sounds. Two? Bernadette's heart stirred as she directed her attention back to herself. She confirmed that there were two sources of her heartbeat, one from her heart and one from her abdomen. There seemed to be an additional heart in her abdomen that was expanding and contracting, and this heart was developing. Without even needing to use her mystery prying powers, she looked at her abdomen, sensing there was a fetus in her womb. Roselle's a great— Yay! Roselle! What a good time to come back, bro! It had grown from the size of a grape to the size of a human palm. If it was left to grow, it didn't seem like it would take long before it matured. It would then tear open the mother's womb and drill out. Jesus Christ. Bro, I feel like no woman should ever read this. It would make them, like, want to never have kids. Oh my god. What the fuck? Does Cuttlefish have any kids? If so, what was his wife's pregnancy like? Excuse me? Unknowingly, Bernadette had become pregnant. Her spiritual perception and the artifact on her body had failed to detect it in advance. It was as though she was powerless to deal with such an influence. Earth Mother? Primordial Moon? Mother Tree of Desire? Three names flashed through Bernadette's mind. According to what she knew, there weren't many mysteries that could cause such an anomaly. Most came from the domains of Earth and Moon. Sequence 0 of the plantar pathway was Mother. Do I know this already? Mother? I don't think so. Oh, I didn't. Nope. Okay. Nice, nice, nice. Yay! The primordial moon could make a stone have reproductive powers, while the Mother Tree of Desire seemed to possess some high sequence beyonder characteristics of the moon pathway. Bernadette wasn't in a hurry to deal with the fetus. Her gaze turned dark as she used her prophetic ability to see her best choice. At this time, she gained a prophecy. Survival lies in the mausoleum. Thank you, Dr. Z. Without any hesitation, she reached her right hand and drew out the words filled with stellar radiance. These words were similar to the words on the blasphemy slate. Quickly interwoven into a strange symbol and opened the secret door. Following, the secret door opened, and a strong gust of wind blew, transforming into an entity that was half man and half air. His upper body was wrapped in a white cloth. Sage Frontlet. Bernadette's tone was calm as she said, The man responded respectfully and removed an accessory from the white cloth wrapped around his body. The core of this accessory was a vertical eye embedded with diamonds. It shimmered with pure light, excluding any abnormal holiness. Filled with intelligence, but it also appeared cold and without warmth. Bernadette then took out the accessory and embedded it into the middle of the forehead. In the middle of her forehead. This was a grade 0 artifact that Bernadette usually carried with her, as the negative effects were too extreme. But at this moment, the Sage Frontlet had the ability that was extremely important to Bernadette. She was willing to bear the consequences of not being able to use evil magic and the gradual influence that the characteristic would have on her. If she didn't remove the Sage Frontlet quickly, it would be equivalent to having a Sequence 0 potion splashed on her. When the time came, she would either end up lucky and end up advancing to become a Sage, or lose control and become a monster, and without supplementary ingredients and the corresponding ritual, the probability of the former was nearly negligible. The diamond vertical eye on her forehead, Bernadette's body began to turn incorporeal as she dissociated into a series of complicated knowledge. A squared plus B squared equals C squared, huzzah! At that moment, she became a creature of pure information. The baby in her womb failed to obtain such a state as it fell to the ground. Huh! It was half the size of a normal baby. It had facial features and limbs. Its skin shriveled, and it was dripping with sticky pus. Oh god. It's so disgusting. Ew. Ew. Oh god. As it left the mother's body, the undeveloped it began to regress. The baby was clearly unwilling to give up. It tried its best to open its eyes, which were sealed by the liquid. It opened its mouth wide in a bid to make a final struggle. At this moment, Klein, who was above the grey fog, rapped the edge of the table. He increased the probability of failure with respect to the baby struggling. DSV, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Oh my god, you're so nasty. Ew. 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 God. Unable to maintain itself, the baby dissipated. At the same time, the flood of information that Bernadette had transformed into had entered the Black Mausoleum's interior, as she reformed into her body. During this process, she seemed to see a black shadow. Seer, you're so... Oh my god, I knew someone was gonna say it. You fuck... Oh god. No, don't do the crying symbol as if you're the fucking victim here. Don't. Oh, Kameen, how's it going, man? Long time no see. Oh, y'all are so nasty. Oh, God. When she entered the mausoleum, Bernadette saw a vague shadow. However, after she extricated herself from being an embodiment of knowledge and reassembled her body, she didn't sense anything. It was as though she had just experienced what was an illusion. I wanted to tell you a long time ago, a contest that Bernadette gets pregnant. Very good. Can I banish Ramiro to the Shadow Realm? No, I literally can't. Queen Mystic wasn't in a rush to venture deep into the mausoleum. She stayed in her spot and carefully observed her surroundings. Without using the powers of mystery prying, everything was clearly present before her eyes. The interior of the Black Emperor Mausoleum was empty, apart from the pitch-black walls and the high platform. On the high platform there was a chair that looked as though it was prepared for a giant, made of iron, and its surface was engraved with complicated, distorted patterns. On top of the seat there was a crown-shaped object. At that moment, there wasn't a figure on the heavy seat, as though it was waiting for the Emperor's return. Just as Bernadette was about to take a step forward and approach the platform, she realized that her body had immobilized, as though bound by tight shackles. Right on the heels of that, pairs of illusory, holy white wings appeared behind her, as though they were passively resisting. In the next second, on the pair of angel wings, white feathers dropped as they fluttered. They grew deformed, thin, and fluffy limbs. The gaps in the layers of the feathers spread out open one after another, as though they had become countless eyes. The deformed feathers immediately let out a crisp laughter. All of them had come alive, turning into miniature winged angels. What are you gonna watch, Romero? This reminded Bernadette of some fairy tales that her father had told her. There were always little pixies that weren't as big as a thumb. As this thought flashed through her eyes, she felt her right eye itch. The eyeball on that eye grew rapidly, turning into tiny arms that took root on her face, trying to pull her eyeball out. I see it! I see it! The veins on Bernadette's right eye protruded out as they let out a childlike voice, as they had gained sentience and consciousness. At the same time, Bernadette's left ear suddenly drooped down and covered her ears. I don't want to hear it! I don't want to hear it! The ear shouted. If she didn't use her spirituality, Bernadette would definitely imagine that she was a young maiden by her side, one that was covering her ears. Without cushioning anything, the sage frontlet in the middle of her forehead left her body and floated into midair. The surface of the vertical eye embedded with diamonds instantly flashed with countless cold beams of light. Each eye reflected Bernadette. Just as the artifact was about to awaken and affect its target, a pale, white, slender, illusory palm reached out and grabbed it. The sage frontlet's living characteristic rapidly dispersed as it reached the end of its life. The ice-cold and pale hand that clearly belonged to a woman came from behind Bernadette. At some point, a figure with only an upper body appeared. This figure grew out of Bernadette's back. It was nearly transparent and illusory. Goose, how's it going, man? Yeah, what an experience. I don't know what is up with chat today. They're not normally like this. What is happening? DSV is really on a roll today, Kami, actually. She was wearing the same clothing as Bernadette. She was wearing the same feathered triangular hat. Her eyes were like the projection of the ocean. But there was a pale white mask on Bernadette's half-body phantom. The mask had holes where one's eyes were and no gaps elsewhere. The corruption is actually spreading. This made Bernadette's phantom appear extremely cold and noble, but it lacked the aura of a living being. I thought he was one of the good ones, Romero. He's always been so chill. This was the third item she possessed, also her last Grade 0 artifact, an item made after Roselle returned from the southern continent, called Pale Death. Its negative effects was to make the wearer slowly die until it became a corpse and it became its slave. The moment Bernadette had used this point to restrain the abnormal life growing in her, just as the half-body phantom appeared on her right side quelled, her eyelashes turned thicker and longer into arms that began to fall off one by one. Her ears no longer made any sound either. They slowly opened and returned to normal. Without a suppression, Bernadette's facial features, arms and legs would have broken apart to seek freedom. Roselle gave... I know, right? Roselle left her with 3 items that she's carrying with her right now. Probably more that her organization has. I can't remember what it's called. And meanwhile, his other son just got taken by the church, and he was like, I really like that guy, but you know, shit happens. Oh well. After stabilizing her body, Bernadette tried to take a step forward, but she was still unable to do so. After some thought, she made the spirit body behind her take out a ritual dagger from her pocket. Then bending down, it drew a circle in the middle of her right boot. With a ripping sound, the leather boot quickly shortened by half. Then Bernadette used half her spirit body to tear off her pants near her left knee. She cut off a corner of her coat and blouse, removing one of the feathers on the side of her hat. This attempt didn't have anything to do with the beings. It was like a willful and rebellious girl who wanted to dress differently. However, as Bernadette completed the series of actions, she stepped forward. Her body could finally move. Reminds me of which kid, Merlin? The invisible suppression quickly vanished. The Black Emperor Mausoleum seemed to accept Bernadette in this form. Who would have thought that such a normal person would be able to deal with such an abnormality? Furthermore, Bernadette suspected that the more she used her powers to resist whatever she was facing, the deeper the effects. Because she had the feeling that she was facing an invisible deity, only by pleasing the other party's sense of aesthetics would she be pardoned. Otherwise, she could only rely on the authority of a Sequence Zero to circle around. In addition, the lucky thing was that Bernadette wasn't once a knowledgeable mysticologist, but she had also a deep understanding of the Black Emperor pathway. She knew that the authorities of this domain consisted of. She knew that it represented the shadow of order, a distortion. Yes, Nightwalker. Yes, in the matter regarding mysticism, knowledge and ideas are more useful than abilities sometimes. Just now, any resistance would have been viewed as a provocation towards the internal order of the mausoleum, triggering changes. Once one figures out the crux of the problem, the effects can be resolved, Klein nodded. Although he was a sequence higher than her, to the point of being a king of angels inside Sephira Castle, he was still lacking when it came to details and such things. Now was the perfect time to make up for the deficiency through observation. Sorry, my fucking mic just tried to run away from me. Bug, how's it going, buddy? After taking a step forward, Bernadette began to follow her intuition and walk towards the huge empty chair. 1, 2, 3. Suddenly, a breeze blew past her neck, a wind that made Bernadette's body turn numb. At that moment, she felt a shadow appear behind her. Silently, her long chestnut-colored hair parted, revealing a pair of eyes on her scalp. Eyes of mystery prying. A pair of eyes that turned slightly and looked at the shadow-like curtain in the mysterious world. However, it didn't notice the shadow, nor the source of the wind. Just as Bernadette attempted to close the eyes of mystery prying and lower the possibility of an accident, she felt a cold, sinister breeze appear in her mind. Her thoughts became active as she became increasingly out of control, unable to direct her thoughts. This seemed to be a trend that couldn't be changed, one that led to chaos. Without any hesitation, Bernadette grabbed the few seconds of thought she was capable of. She then let half the spirit body on her back remove the pale white mask, then put the pale death on her face, while the half-body spirit retracted into her body and fused with her. Why would the body fuse with her, though? From this second on, Bernadette's thoughts would gradually die with her body. However, her thoughts could not help but stir and turn chaotic. Both of these conflicting conditions offset one another, forming a weak, delicate balance that helped her regain her ability to think. To Bernadette, compared to the beyonder effects of pale death itself, its negative effects were more effective right now. Maintaining the balance, Bernadette took a step forward. During this process, she felt that there were shadows hovering over her, but she couldn't find them. After thinking hard, her eyes darkened, losing focus. She tried prophesizing, and a scene appeared before her eyes. After putting on the sage frontlet again, she once again transformed into pure, complicated information, using it to circumvent the obstruction and head straight for the high platform. However, just as she approached, the flood of information suddenly integrated. It lost its order and formed several Bernadettes, built on different tenets. A young girl in a layered dress, a tall young girl, a melancholic, confused girl, a woman with twisted, pained expressions, and a calm and determined queen. The prophetic vision instantly disappeared as Bernadette regained focus. At that moment, she saw the black shadow. It was standing right in front of her, no more than a fist away. A face formed from a pure shadow, occupying her vision. 1305. Slay the queen, I guess. And you read home? Sounds good, thank you. The moment Bernadette saw the black shadow, she instinctively clenched her right hand and conjured an ancient spear. From the tip of the spear to its handle, it was dyed with crimson-red balls. It emitted a strong, destructive aura. The Spear of Longinus. A spear that once appeared in an ancient era that couldn't even be traced, stained with the blood of a great existence. At that moment, it descended into the mausoleum through mystical reenactment. However, when Bernadette thrust it forward, she failed to achieve any effect because the tip of the spear was directed at her back. Despite wanting to attack the Black Shadow, the Spear of Longinus strangely thrust backwards. The area had been affected by disorder. Above the grey fog, Klein noticed the Black Shadow when it appeared in front of Bernadette. He didn't hesitate to raise the Staff of Stars in his hand. He didn't wait this time, unlike before. This was because the level of danger of the Black Shadow sounded off alarms. He was an angel of the Seer pathway after all. More importantly, Bernadette could sense the Shadow's existence after entering the mausoleum occasionally. As for Klein, he was unable to find clues through his true vision. This undoubtedly meant terror. And when all the gems embedded in the black cane lit up, the sound of melodious bells sounded in the area where Bernadette and the Black Shadow were. The bell that came from an infinite distance exuded an indescribable emptiness. It made the interior of the mausoleum visibly freeze, turning Bernadette's figure stiff. However, the Black Shadow didn't sink in the vortex of time, as though situated in another world built with completely different rules. The shadow moving forward in between the contradictory of two rivers of fate, one filled with a raging torrent and the other completely still. Daniel, how's it going, man? How you doing? I don't like that you started off the stream with Unk, but you know what? We're gonna let that go. It's fine. We're in a good mood today. I feel well rested. I feel good. This only made it appear to slow down, in no way affected by the bell. The first time that Klein had encountered such a situation. Although the effects had replicated with the Staff of the Stars were lacking compared to the original, it would still show a certain level of authority that wasn't hard to ignore, or that wasn't easy to ignore. However, the Black Shadow's slow movements gave him a second chance to try again. This time, he activated the Staff of the Stars' powers and moved Queen Mystic out of the mausoleum. He wanted her to first conclude what she experienced before entering again. Gems flashed on the tip of the staff, and Bernadette, who was about to make contact with the Black Shadow, disappeared. She appeared tens of meters away, appearing near a high platform in the mausoleum. Good to hear, Daniel. Good to hear. The Staff of the Stars' teleportation was disrupted. The destination had been distorted, turning everything chaotic. The experienced Bernadette didn't feel any fear or panic because she was stuck in the Black Emperor's mausoleum. She raised her left hand and pressed the sage frontlet in the middle of her forehead, and then used her fingers to stroke the pale death mask. The shimmery golden mask suddenly became soft and squirmed as though it was about to form a face. That face had soft features and obvious characteristics of a southern continent native, exuding a bizarre, terrifying feeling. Anyone who witnessed it would believe that it would come alive once the face became clear enough, an entity from ancient times. The eternal darkness where the death slumbered. Salazar? By then, Bernadette's body, spirituality, and consciousness would belong to this face. With the protrusion of this face, the stone walls and floor tiles in the Black Emperor mausoleum began to weather. It happened so fast that thousands of years appeared to be washed away in a second. What's the name of the... Oh, Salinger. I was close. Close. Everything, not close at all. In the near future, not including the COI spoilers? Daniel, maybe? But then I don't even know if I can watch it even now, because everyone is like, oh no, you can't watch it, there's a lot of spoilers. So I'm like, well, fuck me, I guess. And secondly, if I'm completely honest, I don't like to watch... fuck you. And secondly, I don't like to watch videos on other stuff. Fuck off, Milos, fuck off. I don't like to watch other people's content about like similar stuff that I'm also making content on, because I feel like it sticks in my mind, and then I end up making something similar to theirs, and it like affects my vision, if that makes sense. So like I prefer to just do my own thing and not watch other people's as well, because I find it like it affects how I make it, because I'm like, oh, like this is cool, I should do this, and it's like, well, it's not fucking mine. With the protrusion of this face, the stone walls... Nope, I already read that. No, like, Mirror, have you never had that where, like, you're not... Let's say if a teacher tells you to, like, hey, write an essay about something, but just you write it. Don't use any sources. I just want you to write what you think. Even just reading about something at all will affect what you're gonna write, because like you'll be like, oh, like that was really clever, like I should include that, and like, oh, I thought that was neat. And so like because your mind just assimilates information, right? In just the blink of an eye, the fur grew into white feathers, and the surface seemed to be soaked in light yellow oil. The aura of the black figures gradually weakened, as though it was running towards death. Its color faded away, its movements growing slower. Within the area where the pale white mask was, even the concept of death itself would weather away. However, what was labeled as death wasn't the end point. When the stone wall and the floor tiles in the mausoleum were weathered to a certain degree, when the black figure degraded, new stone blocks began to take form as ethereal auras grew out. I don't know, Romero, we'll see. During this process, this black figure stretched out his right hand. Exactly, Dr. Z. You see... Okay, thank you. That's a good way to put it. Everyone's made me sound like I'm a fucking lunatic. And during this time, the black figure stretched out his hand. This palm that was formed from shadows grabbed Bernadette's neck from dozens of meters away. Who is Heavenly Envoy? I don't even see him. Excuse me? Oh, I see. Okay. This wasn't fulfilling. By extending the arm, by distorting the concept of distance for a moment, 45 meters was equivalent to 45 centimeters. On every lord. Well, you gotta give him credit, okay? He is very devoted to his craft. This dark palm didn't exert much strength, but it made Bernadette feel cold. Under such coldness, she realized that she couldn't use the 2 Grade 0 artifacts of the Sage Frontlet and the Pale Death. Typically, as long as she injected her spirituality into it and gave the corresponding thoughts, the artifacts on her would react in the correct manner, creating different effects. And now, the silent process and the rules have been disrupted and disordered. No amount of thoughts that Bernadette willed would be able to stir the artifacts. Klein, who was above the grey fog, didn't waste any time after failing to teleport Queen Mystic away. A series of complicated symbols and magic labels formed in his mind. He wanted to replicate a secret sorcerer's space concealment. He planned on separating Bernadette's location from the mausoleum and concealing it to help Queen Mystic escape her predicament. I'm no longer the same person? I know, but I find creating is like good for the soul, if that makes sense, Dr. Z. Whether it's like streams are fun, don't get me wrong, like we have fun here, but like I'm just reading like a really cool thing, so like I have fun for that sense. But like in creating my videos, I feel like it's such a like creative outlet for me. Like in writing the scripts, I feel like creating in some sense is like really cathartic for the soul. Like you feel good. You're like, I feel like this is what I'm here for, you know? Life lessons. No, like I'm not even kidding, Justin. Seriously, I feel like everyone should make something. I don't give a fuck what you write. I don't care if you make YouTube videos. I don't care if you write essays. I don't care if you write poetry. I don't care. Just do something. It's good for, and it's actually good for your soul. Like you'll feel it. I don't know how to explain it. Why, Clown Man, why you fucking gotta be so weird? What is the matter with you? God, I hate this. As for where he had learned space concealment, it naturally came from Fours. Previously, in the name of the world, Klein had rented Lemano's travel, and had also requested Miss Magician to record the corresponding powers. He then released it and recorded it while summoning the complete Lemano's travel from the Fog of History over and over. It didn't take long for him to grasp the location and technique, allowing him to replicate space concealment. As more gems lit up the staff of stars, the area around Bernadette darkened as though it was covered by a curtain weaved by shadows. The curtain distorted as it concealed the space. This helped Bernadette regain her freedom. In the next second, the black palm that had been forcefully separated reached forward and touched the boundary of the concealed space. In that instant, a transparent vortex-like door appeared in the abnormal void. Or rather, a secret door that originally existed appeared autonomously and opened up in the palm. A concealed space had a door, but the location of the door depended on the creator's thoughts. The palm, formed by the shadow, rapidly passed through the open door and entered this concealed space. It grabbed Bernadette's neck once again, disrupting the connection between Queen Mystic and her artifacts. At this moment, the black figure raised his head and looked up at the top of the mausoleum. It seemed to be studying Sephora Castle and Klein. Klein's eyes twitched. He sensed the shadow had a certain understanding of where he was. Unhinged, how's it going? Yeah, no, like anything is good, Doctors. It doesn't necessarily have to be one thing. Like you don't have to be like, oh, I'm just gonna make like poetry and then you only do that. Like, I don't care. Do something, okay? It's cathartic and you'll feel good. In some metaphysical way that I can't explain. Like, more than like I like going to the gym. I feel really good when I go to the gym, you know? Like, I come out of the gym, I feel good. I'm like, you know what? Good fucking day. But, like, creating is like, it's like, it soothes a different part of your body that I don't know, I can't explain. Like Luvian, who makes art. Like, I don't care, whatever. Just true, Seer, true. He wanted to, Klein's expression unknowingly turned heavy. The different gems on the staff of the stars lit up. He wanted to attempt to steal the corresponding powers from the other party. Only by doing so would he have a chance of restraining it. In order to increase the success rate of stealing the power, Klein turned his left palm and tapped the edge of the table. But his theft failed. His target had long escaped the lock-on despite just standing there. Klein's gaze froze. He then saw the black figure enter the concealed space. Damn, it distorted my true vision, causing the situation I saw to be from a second or two ago. A thought flashed through Klein's mind as he made a judgment. He then decided to summon Will Ossipton's projection to get him to reboot the area. At that moment, Bernadette, who was unable to use her artifacts, grew illusory swan feathers. Her father's fairy tale magic, ugly duckling. McSeely, how's it going, man? Luvian is so fucking good, dude. Oh, like, the art he's made is, like, so fucking cool. We gotta get the baby on work. Yeah, the children yearn for the mines. True. At this moment, her thoughts went wild again. They started to boil and become more chaotic. This caused her ugly duckling magic to be cut off before it could even show its effects. Drummer, how's it going, man? Almost at the same time, she saw the black shadow stick to her body. It was like a sticky, viscous, corrosive liquid that seeped into her body. Bernadette's eyes darkened as she suddenly sensed something. She grabbed the final moments of lucidity and opened her mouth and said, in a Chinese accent, "Home." Oh, that was probably like a key word that Roselle had put in for him to be revived or something. Oh, that's probably gonna be like the last seal. The black shadow's infiltration paused. Its upper body slowly rose as it looked at Bernadette. Oh, that's what it's gonna be. Sorry. Where are we? 13 seal. Yeah, seal. That makes sense. Sorry, give me 1 second. Okay, there we go. Let's go. Sorry. Okay. The black figure froze as it released its grip on Bernadette's neck, as though it was staring at Queen Mystic with its non-existent eyes. A dry, hoarse voice echoed in the space. Home. This voice was filled with hesitation and confusion, as though seeking confirmation, as if it had come from another world. The corrosion that Bernadette encountered vanished instantly. Her connection with the sealed artifacts was restored. The pale death once again ate at her vitality bit by bit. This helped her resist the chaos in her thoughts, maintaining her clarity and rationality. Just as she was about to say something, the figure stretched out its palm, but it didn't strangle Bernadette, but instead it pushed her hard. Following this push was the collapse of the concealed space. A voice filled with pain. "Leave." As the voice echoed, the black figure vanished. In an instant, it appeared on the huge black high chair. 2 cracks appeared on its face, as though 2 asymmetrical eyes had grown out. But the eyes didn't have pupils, it was blood-colored. On the heels of that, another crack appeared beneath the 2 eyes. They were filled with a pure blood-red light, allowing the black figure to finally open its mouth. It faced Bernadette as obvious sounds of pain resounded around, as though it was resisting. "Leave this place." After being pushed out more than 10 meters, Bernadette found her footing. She didn't follow the voice's orders by leaving the mausoleum. She stood there, staring blankly at this platform, looking at the black figure. She could sense and now could confirm that the figure was her father, the man who called himself Caesar, Roselle Gustave. In the next second, more cracks appeared on the black figure's body, rupturing from top to bottom, blooming blood-red flowers in different parts of the body. This made Roselle look like he was left with a shadow that wrapped around a blood-red object emitting pure light. When Klein saw the scene above the grey fog, he naturally thought of a crimson moon high in the sky. At that moment, Roselle seemed to have transformed into a shadow. He wanted to block out the crimson moon, but openings ruptured from his body, allowing more and more of the moonlight to shine in. When these openings were connected together, the shadow would completely split apart and give birth to a new moon. When that happened, something extremely terrifying would happen. At that moment, Roselle's black figure turned much more illusory, as though it had become an illusion. This made him look like he had been isolated in another world, an invisible barrier between him and the real world. Then Roselle raised his right hand with great difficulty and pinched his forehead. The frequency at which blood-red cracks appeared on his body instantly decreased to a nadir. However, the eyes that had already appeared blinked repeatedly. But this didn't give any negative effects on the surroundings. It was as though it was just a simple change of order. The new growth of blood-red cracks was constantly being distorted to its original size. After completing this, Roselle raised his head and looked at Bernadette dozens of meters away, and said, "You truly have become an important figure in the mysterious world. You managed to come here all alone. Come over. Let me see my little princess, all grown up." Bernadette's eyes reddened as she took a step forward, laughing. Roselle laughed again. "Back when I made your sketchbooks, textbooks, and all kinds of small games, you were just a tiny midget. But now you're able to save your poor old dad. I remembered you liked the clothes I made for you when you were young. But you can't wear those layered dresses after you're an adult." The Emperor rambled on as if he had arrived in his twilight years and was reminiscing about the beautiful past. Bernadette walked faster and faster. Above the grey fog, Klein frowned. Suddenly, Roselle lowered his head and said, "Stop!" His voice carried indescribable pain. Bernadette was stunned before she stopped. She looked at the dark figure, and her eyes revealed this indescribable sadness. "Didn't you really want to ask why the Black Emperor's mausoleum had to be engraved with the order one implemented in the style one ushered? It wasn't necessary. I just wanted anyone who saw to remember my greatness." Don't come near me, the Emperor suppressed. I've been corrupted. Fuck. Corrupted by the moon, I guess, because the moon keeps tearing apart at him, right? The sadness in Bernadette's eyes deepened. Her guess had been confirmed. At that moment, the red cracks on Roselle's face began to turn chaotic. They closed and opened randomly with no signs of having a unified will. The Emperor took the opportunity to straighten his body and shouted, "Seal me!" Seal? Bernadette repeated the words silently. Her eyes quickly turned moist as a faint mist enveloped them. Even though she had lived for years and was no longer the child she was in the past, she couldn't contain her emotions. However, she didn't ask for a reason. Nor did she hesitate. With a slight struggle, she firmly raised her right hand and pressed it on the metal mask on her face. She calmly made a decision, just like how she had faced all major events that happened on the Element Dawn over the years. On the surface of the pale death, the metal instantly turned soft as it reformed into a new face with two black eyes. In the deep black part of the eye, the white lines appeared, forming an extremely complicated and mysterious symbol. He's so cooked. He's so cooked. It was like a long feathered bird or a coiled feathered serpent. A symbol absorbed the surrounding light and quickly turned corporeal. Then it separated from Bernadette's eyes and extended its body before flying towards Roselle. Along the way, the strange symbols caused the surroundings to become dim. The floor tiles and the stone walls suffered another round of weathering, as if the deity in charge of death had passed the final judgment. The falling rubble and the flying dust followed the corporeal symbol and came to Roselle's side. Then they coiled around him, enveloping the illusory black figure that seemed to exist in another world. During this process, Roselle failed to control himself. He attempted to leave the chair, but ended up sitting back down. He didn't resist the seal that Bernadette put on him. Wait, Dr. Z doesn't like Bernadette? Really? As the symbol fused with her figure, he immediately had a connection with the pale death. He saw the illusory deity lording over the countless undead and the swollen body of the water ghosts loitering in a dark river. Roselle's aura vanished as the cracks deepened. What awaited the Emperor was a quiet, peaceful sleep. So wait, is Roselle... he's sealed, but he's not dead. Is it possible to communicate with him? In the blink of an eye. As for the symbol, it was sealed within Roselle's body. Constantly influencing him until a pale death stopped responding. In the blink of an eye, several blood-red cracks appeared on Roselle's body again. After his aura declined to a nadir, it gradually began to glow as he fought back against the corporeal symbol. Klein, above the grey fog, sighed. He clenched his fist and pressed it against his mouth. The curtain he draped around himself rose up as the entire Sephra castle boiled over. The aura of a new life that Roselle had just obtained had begun to dissipate. After vanishing to a certain point, it gained a new life. It was then affected by the pale death and began to fade away. Using the powers of an attendant of mysteries characteristic in Sephira Castle, Klein grafted new life and death and skipped the process in between. The corruption that Roselle suffered was no longer able to recover to the extent that needed to break through the pale seal. So basically the pale death is like, so the Black Emperor keeps reviving him, but the pale death keeps killing him, keeping him weak enough that he can't. Following that, Klein extended his right hand and used the powers of Sephira Castle to draw out the mysterious symbol behind the Fool's chair, and the mysterious symbol made up of the pupilless eye and the contorted symbols. The symbols absorbed the aura of Sephira Castle and quickly turned corporeal. With a wave of Klein's wrist, it entered the prayer light representing Bernadette and landed on Roselle's black figure. Every time the grafting vanished, the symbol that was directly related to the Fool would draw upon new powers and complete the grafting once again. Roselle Schrödinger, yeah. Roselle is alive, but he is dead, yeah. As he constantly passed away and gained new life, Roselle's face, which seemed to be a pure shadow, obtained facial features. He then looked up to the top of the mausoleum as though he was looking at infinite height. He then retracted his gaze and looked at Bernadette and said, "This seal is good. I can sleep in peace now." With that said, he frowned. Who taught you to dress like this? Bernadette felt lost as she listened, as though she had returned to her teenage years. At the time when she dressed up to the nines for a ball, Roselle would use a similar expression and tone to pepper her. The mist in her eyes became obvious as she could no longer control herself as she shouted, "Dad." Roselle's face turned gentle before stiffening up again. "Leave and never return." Bernadette opened her mouth, wanting to say something, but her vision went black as though she could see the shadow of order. In the next second, she found herself at the edge of the island. Bernadette stared blankly at the mountain peak in the middle of the island for a few seconds, before slowly turning around and walking towards the sea. This time, she didn't stubbornly insist on walking straight without looking back. Every few steps she took, she would stop and turn. To come that far and get so close and be so fucking far too. Soon, she returned to the dawn and entered her cabin. She opened the room that was used to hold her collection. She saw the stacks of textbooks and clothes and skirts. She saw the chess game that few people in the world knew, and the neat pile of toys. She leaned against the door slowly, curled up, sitting on the floor. She raised her head to look at the dark sky outside the cabin, and pinched her lips with her right thumb and index finger. She whistled, a melodious tune that was gentle and sweet, a sad melody that would calm others. As the melody echoed, water beads fell down her face and dripped on the floor. All that could be heard from the captain's cabin was a suppressed whimper. Dad. Fuck, that's so depressing, bro. Oh my god. Are you kidding me? So close, and yet so far. Stand proud, Bernadette. You are strong. Oh, it is gonna happen. It is gonna happen. Okay. In the middle of the primitive island, in the mausoleum, after sending Bernadette away, Roselle didn't fall into a deep slumber. He raised his head and looked into the infinite distance above. Above the grey fog, Klein sighed as he put down the Staff of the Stars and grabbed a paper figurine. With a smacking sound, the figurine thickened and expanded before flying into the vortex formed from the mysterious symbols behind the fool's chair. Although Bernadette had already moved to the edge of the island, Klein could no longer see the situation inside the mausoleum through the prayer light. But he could use the symbols of the fool that had merged with Roselle's figure to maintain a connection with the Emperor to a certain degree. After the figurine passed through the slowly spinning vortex, it descended into the dim mausoleum. It then turned into a human with black hair and brown eyes, somewhat similar to Gehrman, but he didn't have clear-cut features. His lines weren't deep, and his bearing wasn't strong. There was also a certain difference in his facial structure. His chin and stomach had a small amount of fat induced by an indulgent society. It was Klein's original appearance as Zhou Mingrui, the Zhou Mingrui who had been hiding in Sephira Castle for 1,000 years, beside Roselle Huang Tao Gustave. Roselle wasn't surprised by his appearance as he leaned forward and said, "You're here." "I am." "You shouldn't be here," Roselle sighed. "I'm already here." Klein very naturally participated in completing the meme populated by a popular Chinese novel by Gu Long. Having confirmed the origins of this fellow in front of him, Roselle returned to his normal sitting posture, chuckling. "I planned on asking where you were from to see if there's any need for regional discrimination. But after some thought, there's no need for it. We're all anachronistic, miserable wretches without a home." Without waiting, the Emperor's voice sank. "You know the truth of the apocalypse?" "Yes." "You know this is Earth?" "Yes." "You learned it so early. I only dared to confirm it after I went to the moon and saw the appearance of the planet from high above. The moon is bizarre. I clearly felt terror, but I didn't consider being corrupted. And I became more and more extreme. However, I did occasionally gain a certain level of clarity from the views of people around me, but I didn't dare write it in my diary, afraid of exposing secrets and losing my final chance. I decided to use all I could and previously switched to the Black Emperor pathway, apart from the impending apocalypse with Sequence Zeros being the only ones capable of protecting the people they wanted to protect. They can hide them in various planets in the vast universe and use the corresponding authorities to rebuild a set of order for humans to survive in desolate lands. I also saw the hope of escaping my corruption by using the Black Emperor's ability to resurrect. Sure. That should be better, Seer. As long as I became a Sequence Zero of the Black Emperor and was truly killed after turning half crazy, I'd have a chance of resurrecting in a mausoleum or in the astral world. When that happened, what would return to, would be me, containing a pure uniqueness and 3 Sequence 1 characteristics. No tainted, and I would not be tainted at all, nor would I contain uncontrollable madness. Speaking of which, I made use of the EBS and the God of Steam and Machinery to a certain extent back in the day, but the horrors of the Great Old Ones far exceeded my imagination. Accompanying my revival was a new life of corruption. Perhaps only a Great Old One can resist another. I could only terminate the revival process and live an ignoble existence in my final mausoleum to prevent the Great Old One from using my body to be born in this world. That would have brought about a devastating disaster. Klein had long guessed that Rozel's condition based on what he knew and what had happened. He wasn't surprised at all. He calmly replied, "The one who corrupted you is called the Mother Goddess of Depravity. She has bewitched many believers as the embodiment of the primordial moon." The facial features that appeared faintly on Rozel's face changed. "I know the primordial moon, but I didn't know her true name is the Mother Goddess of Depravity. Now that I think about it, my discovery of Mr. Door's cry for help may not have been a coincidence." Upon hearing this, Klein was alarmed. He instantly recalled a situation happening off-island. He had some sort of premonition about what Rozel was about to say. Rozel laughed. "The biggest problem in my first half of life was that I was too confident. I always had the feeling that I could reload a save file and redo things. I just didn't pay much attention. Back when Grimm was corrupted by the strange powers of this island, he returned here after dying and regained new life. Is that an influence of the primordial moon? After I finished all sorts of investigating and did some corresponding purifications, I felt I was fine. But in fact, fate might have undergone a tiny change, resulting in me encountering Mr. Door later and being guided to the moon by him." "Oh, yes, you're right, Dr. Z. Yeah, he did that above the Grey Fog, yeah." "You can't blame Mr. Door. His condition may be even worse than mine." Does the Emperor mean that they've been targeted by the Mother Goddess of Depravity the moment he discovered this island? Klein sighed. At that time, who would have thought that the problem would be so serious? Before Sequence 2, understanding the cosmos and the Great Old Ones led to a terrifying corruption, and without understanding it, one wouldn't be able to determine how serious the problem was. This made Rozel treat the primitive island as his secret base and not informing existences. Thus, not informing existences that had the right to understand the outer deities, Great Old Ones, and the cosmos. That's right, Rozel seemed to be gratified that he had committed a mistake that almost anyone would make. He then said, "In the ancient and secret organization, there was almost no mention of the Great Old Ones, or the outer deities." At that moment, Rozel paused. You should have read my diary. You should know what that organization represents." "I know which organization you refer to. I never expected you wouldn't dare mention the name of his organization, after having the level of a Sequence 0. I have a nagging feeling that he isn't simple. He might have an understanding of the outer deities far exceeding our imagination, so it's just best to be careful. After all, I'm not a true god." "How much of my diary did you get to read?" If the atmosphere wasn't that heavy and sorrowful, Klein would definitely find it irresistible to reply with, "The taste of a demoness ain't bad." Klein finally calmly replied, "Plenty. I even found a few cards of blasphemy." "Which ones?" "Black Emperor, Tyrant, Red Priest, and the Fool." "Whew, thank God it's not the Demoness, the Moon, and the Mother card." "You had to mention it yourself." Klein didn't respond as he looked at the Emperor. After Rozel said that, he realized something and laughed. "Well, we've all watched live streams, so you should know how normal it is to cross-dress." "Well, we know what you were watching now, you fuck." He's like, "Well, we've all watched live streams, come on." Oh, so good. So good. As he spoke, he coughed. "Which pathway are you from?" "Seer." Unfortunately, if everything is fine and dandy, you should be responsible for pulling out a large screen television and a game console from the historical void. We can chat while playing. A romantic dream for us. But there's no electricity. I'd have to rely on you to invent it. Klein didn't voice his thoughts as he maintained a smile. I hope such a day would come. He then pulled the topic back on track. I'm very curious why the cards of blasphemy you created can't even be found by deities. Such level of anti-divination and anti-prophecy is amazing, Klein said. It's because knowledge can bring power, and power can bestow knowledge. The true authority of a knowledge emperor. I infused the potion formula of the 22 pathways with power. They naturally produce the convergence power between characteristics, but also gained anti-divination and anti-prophecy to a certain extent. And then, as he spoke, Roselle paused as though he sensed something. After a second or two, he said in an ethereal voice, "The creation of the cards of blasphemy was a year before I held the Black Emperor ritual. Back then, I had suffered the corruption of the primordial moon and didn't have the corresponding realization most of the time." Nightwalker, what's up? For Roselle's sake, cosplay as Sharon or Trissy? No. Trust me, it's for Roselle's sake that I'm not doing it, okay? Showing him that there's a better way. Why can the 22 cards not be found by the deities? Upon hearing this question above the grey fog, Klein's heart tightened. He felt his scalp tingle. Without waiting for the response, Roselle's figure said, "Don't gather the 22 cards. Be careful of the mother card." These two sentences echoed in the interior of the Black Mausoleum for a long time. Apparently, instead of being racist in China, they look down upon people from poorer regions. Much better, my bad. Holy shit, is this the last chapter for today? That went by so quick! It might even just be regular timing, but it felt extremely quick. No, guys, you're thinking too deeply about this. Basically, Roselle is just saying be careful of Unhinged's mom, because she will eventually grow so big so as to form a singularity. What's Amnesiac, what's up? Above the grey fog, Klein's pupils this is the last chapter, yeah. Klein's pupils instantly widened as he subconsciously looked down at the long model table ahead. At the moment, he felt a little scared and relieved. He felt as though he had been wandering about the edge of the abyss while blindfolded, but never fell in. There were 4 cards of blasphemy with different patterns on the back in front of Klein. If he had done his best to gather all the cards of blasphemy or obtain the mother card with the way how he liked to put different cards on his body to obtain the corresponding levels, he may have already been corrupted or be pregnant or something. But I'm not Roselle. Even if I had the mother card, I wouldn't have done so. Furthermore, in order to prevent the deities from finding it, the cards of blasphemy are hard to gather, almost impossible to gather them all. From the looks of it, a casual arrangement made by the mother goddess of depravity. If anyone was to unfortunately obtain the mother card, they would become one of the latent dangers of this world. Klein retracted his gaze as he used his stand-in paper figurine to look at Roselle. At that moment, Roselle raised his body. Everything has godhood in them. The oldest one is still alive, in everyone's body. Klein frowned. He no longer knew if he was speaking with Roselle or the crimson moon in his body. Holy fuck, we're at 76 people. How's it going, everyone? Not only did he have a certain level of understanding regarding such secrets, he also had personally experienced it. Thus, he wasn't that horrified or panicked. He only recalled the teachings of the Aurora Order he had seen before. They promoted the belief that the true creator was that's Romero's guy, my bad. They promoted the belief that the creator was omnipotent and existed in everyone's body. Therefore, all living beings had godhoods. Once godhood reached a certain concentration, they would become an angel. As the current orthodox deities had nothing more than slightly stronger angels, to ordinary people, as long as one is able to grasp the essence of life, was a spiritual travel and tempered one's mind, strengthen one's spirit, and find their own godhood, and fuse with other godhoods, one would be able to escape the mortal coil and become an angel. I don't know what this music is. It's very chill though. I like it. I might just listen to this in my off time. Holy fuck, this is just nice. Back when this is like the kind of music I listen to when I'm like working. Alright, no worries, Hollow. Appreciate you popping by, buddy. Back then, I felt a cult like the Aurora Order had a complete set of mysticism and religious canon, just like the Orthodox churches. But now, I can interpret the truth underlying these words. From a certain point of view, it's true. The only problem is, after fusing with more godhoods, they may no longer be themselves. The true creator actually placed the deepest secrets of this into his teaching. He isn't afraid that a believer might suddenly have an epiphany. This hanged man is a little crazy. He doesn't have much rationality most of the time. 2 or 3 seconds later, Roselle, who had been in a state of slumber and obtaining a new life, sat back on the throne. Klein then controlled his figurine to say, "Which of the words have you just said should be trusted, and which should I be wary of?" Consider the answer yourself. Isn't that how you seers like to speak? When I created the Pale Death Mask, I sensed something. The death of the 4th epoch may not be completely perished. He may have left a hidden trump card to be revived, involving the River of Eternal Darkness. Death will not die so easily. With that said, Roselle looked at Klein. Indeed, only by choosing the Seer, Apprentice, or Marauder can a Transmigrator enter Sephira Castle. By the time I figured it out, it was too late. Oh, so every Transmigrator has the ability to enter Sephira Castle, but only by choosing one of those 3 pathways do you get lucky enough to. So Roselle chose the wrong pathway, and before him, the Evernight Goddess also chose the wrong pathway, but she was just kind of goated, so she kind of made it to God all the same, and even the Great Old One. Oh. I don't know if you want to become a Great Old One or not. Nor do I know if this ritual requires a ritual. I can only tell you that this is more dangerous than becoming a deity, countless times more dangerous. Perhaps the existence who stored us and threw us back to the real world is waiting for you there. 3 in 22 is not good chance at all after Lay's 1 in 7 chance, basically. Fuck off. So many don't only think that means that those 3 pathways are stronger than the others. For a Transmigrator, they kind of are, though. Klein got so lucky not only to have Roselle's diary, but to have like one of that page in particular. He's been rolling like a nat 20 several times over. Like, he rolled a nat 20 to get transmigrated. He rolled a nat 20 to get that page. He rolled a nat 20 to be from China. He rolled a nat 20 for the Evernight Goddess to have the Seer pathway. Like, he rolled so many nat 20s. It's crazy. They don't need... Oh, I guess you're right, Dr. Z, because he did enter before he even became a Beyonder. So if Roselle tried the thing before, he could have gone up before, but once he chose his pathway, the Savant pathway, he'd be cooked. Oh, I see. Okay. I see. Okay. Romero, she said it before you, bro. Gotta take the L. Okay, she got that one. If you can't completely free me from the corruption of the primordial moon after becoming a great old one, then remember to wipe my existence off the face of the earth, destroy the mausoleum, support the creation of a new Black Emperor, and prevent me from ever being revived. The light inside the mausoleum seemed to dim. Klein said, I won't forget that. Of course, before, do try to save me a couple times, Roselle laughed. Such a sense of humor didn't make Klein smile, it just made his heart sink even more. No, come on, Klein, don't be sad. The previous Lord of Mysteries was able to take another, outer god who came to this world and was like, get the fuck in this lamp, you're gonna now be a genie, you little fuck. So, like, you can definitely wipe out some corruption, no problem. Once you become the Lord of Mysteries, you'll be chilling. Don't even worry about it. Roselle didn't continue the topic as he recalled, my wife passed a long time ago. The mistress I once had definitely had their own endings. Towards the end, I did feel sorry for them. I never loved them. Oh, I only coveted their bodies and their looks. I don't have any illegitimate children. Towards such matters, a Beyonder is aware for sure. As for the times before I became a Beyonder, I believe those ladies coveted my looks and bodies to enjoy such pleasure. They won't leave any trouble for themselves. Showman, how's it going, man? My eldest son CL should be dead for years. I don't know how many descendants he left behind. My second son, Bornova, should definitely be an angel by now if nothing unexpected happened. Yes, he is. We already met him. I have complicated feelings for him. On one hand, I'm very detached and disappointed and resentful, but on the other, I do care for him. I remember how adorable he was. Bornova, it sounds like an Italiano name, so I feel like I should roll the R. You've already met my eldest daughter, Bernadette. Isn't she beautiful? She was pretty from a young age, and smart. She knew how to be filial to her old father, protect her brothers, and dote on her mother. Sometimes she acted especially righteous and appeared a little silly. There were several times when I secretly cheated while playing chess or playing games with her, but she didn't realize. Such a temper made it difficult for her to accept what I did later. Of course, now I can just push the blame onto the primordial moon. It's all because of the corruption. I'm rather grateful for her at this point. I don't know what right I have to make a request. After all, I've never helped you, nor do I have much of a relationship with you. We are just from the same place, of the same era, the ties of a fellow Earthling. Upon hearing that, Klein said, your diary helped me plenty, allowed me to grasp much knowledge when I was weak, allowing me to avoid many dangers, and how to target my efforts. Also, those cards of blasphemy have shown their use at different stages as well. Can you not mention the diary? However, in the later stages, I was indeed consciously leaving a message to the next transmigrator. I just couldn't be sure of which language you knew. My request is to help me look after Bernadette. Help her when she needs it. Although she is about to become an important figure in the world, I can't help but not be at ease as a father. I'll take care of her for you, Klein said. Man, why does this sound so awkward, Roselle said. By the way, I haven't asked for your name. As for me, you should know me very well. I am Huang Tao. Zhou Mingrui, Klein answered frankly. Are you married? You have any kids? How old are you? Roselle asked. Emperor, why do you act like a gossipy middle-aged woman from next door? Klein shook his head. No. You and I are of the same generation. Bernadette should call you Uncle Zhou. That's so sweet. Oh, melt my cold dead heart. Oh my god, that's so sweet. Yes. As he spoke, Roselle's tone became filled with pity. After coming to this era, I treated everything as a game in the beginning. I had a great time playing, but I would occasionally recall home, the past, where I cultivated my personality. The longer I lived, the higher the frequency I felt this feeling. Like the fallen leaves that will always want to return to the roots of a tree, what will diverge will eventually converge. However, at the very least, I have a daughter, a wife, and 2 sons. There are still many things in this world that I'm worried about, and some sense of belonging to an extent. As for you, I can feel your loneliness, a loneliness that comes from deep within your bones. If only we were still in that era, I'd go to work every day and work overtime occasionally. Whenever I'm free, I'll visit my daughter's extracurricular lessons, pick her up, and bring her stuff home. And my wife constantly reminds me. Every weekend, we'll either head out for some fun or head to my parents' place to accompany them. So Roselle had like a actual full life outside where Zhou is just, Huang Tao had like a full life outside, whereas Zhou Mingru is just a fucking keyboard warrior. And so that's why he's still... In that case, I do feel bad for Huang Tao, because it makes sense that he would be so detached from this world, because, like, he didn't? He didn't? He's just imagining it? I can feel your loneliness, yeah, exactly. But it's true, Klein's doing that to himself, though. Roselle is saying he's attached to the current world, but Klein isn't. Zhou had a job that okay, that's it. No, no, Klein should get some attachment to this world. He walks around like a fucking... I mean, don't get me wrong, Klein's a good person, so he's inherently doing the right thing, I understand that, but... sometimes it's nice to have some kind of fucking attachment. We die alone, but we live among men. One day, when I'm exhausted from life, I'll use an excuse that you or my friend are treating me. As men, we could just sit on the street, eat, drink, brag, curse our superiors, reminisce of our youth, and urge you to find a girlfriend. And when I wake up, I'll be able to have the zeal of facing life again. Klein listened quietly without interrupting. Roselle's voice gradually lowered as he smiled. Goodbye, my friend. I hope one day we meet for real. His figure turned illusory as though he had disappeared, leaving only a faint shadow hovering over the throne. Roselle had returned to his eternal slumber. Klein's gotta do it now. Klein's gotta become the Lord of Mysteries. He's gotta save him. He's gotta save our boy. It needs to happen. If this doesn't get a happy ending in COI either, we riot. I'm gonna find where Cuttlefish lives. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but it's gonna be bad, damn it. I'm gonna force him to write the 3rd book at gunpoint and put that in. I don't care what happens. I said it. Yeah, come get me, CCP. Try me, motherfucker. I said it. All these people, no one has the guts to say it. I'll say it. Alright, let's go to artwork, shall we? That was beautiful. That was amazing. That was amazing. Oh wow, if this was in higher quality, I would have loved to have this as the background. God, if this was in higher quality, if this was like in higher quality, that would have been amazing. That's beautiful. What did you say, Dr. Z? What's up? Klein didn't have the chance to. First Tinjin in the backline, he built connections but lost everything over and over. True. Plus, again, I just find it that it's necessary for Klein to have, like, someone that he can, like, actually talk to without holding anything back, right? He can just talk to this person without having to be like, oh, like, do they know about this? Can I talk about this? Am I, like, no, he can just talk to this person, full on. And I feel like Klein, if nothing else, he deserves that after everything. Just two strangers looking at the same painting in a museum. Very good. He was still holding back with Roselle? You think so? Yeah, but like we all have our internal thoughts that we don't say out loud to anyone. That's fine. I just mean like there was never any point of him like hiding anything. Like those are just his internal thoughts. But wow, that is also really good. You get no bitches. That's so cute. That's so cute. Aww, that's so sad. Aw, thank you, Milosh. I'd love to have that as the background now, like behind me. I feel like that'd be really cool. The Emperor. The breaker of chains, father of dragons. Damn, that does look goated. I will say, Roselle, out of the transmigrators we know of, I say we know of because there might be like more at this point, who the fuck even knows? But like, out of the transmigrators we know, Roselle was kind of like the biggest flop so far, no? But I mean, Klein's story is yet to end, so I can't say for sure. But like, Klein is like on the path to become what do you call it? A fool, and then also like the Lord of Mysteries. The Evernight Goddess is like on the path to becoming the fucking the great old one or whatever of her pathway. Ancient Sun God was fucking whatever he was, and Roselle was kind of just he got kind of tanked. Damn, what's up with those hips, Emperor? Let's calm down, should we? Roselle dictated the shape of a whole epoch. Oh shit, that's so good. Excuse me, this is so good. This is true. This is true. But like in terms of as a beyonder, as like a politician and stuff, yeah, sure, we can count that really well. Or like as a king, fine. Damn, that's also really good. Damn. Sequence 1 against sequence -1. Pretty one-sided. Yeah, but like all the other Beyonders, all the other Transmigrators also had that risk, but they all kind of just, they won, you know? What, are we saying like Amanesis never had to worry about like a great old one attacking her? There's no chance. Who became the GOAT without any help? Klein did, bro. What are we talking about? Yeah, I know, Sierra. Damn, damn. Roselle got some really cool art. What? That's really good. Oh, this is so cute. This is so sad. This is so sad. Is that? That's so cute. I knew you. New ball and watch Sopranos. You, yeah, you too, Seer. You too. Love you, buddy. Your favorite TV show? Yeah, Sopranos is definitely a good pick for favorite TV show. That's fair. These are so cute. Yes, Dr. Z. We watched it together on stream a while back. Croissant. Black Emperor Solomon, George III and Nast. Oh, all the Black Emperors. I see. Solomon, Roselle, failed. Nast probably wants to become one. He had the worst start amongst the transmigrators, claimed at Sephir Castle, and Evernight help. ESG spawned as a god. Well, in fairness, he could have had Sephira Castle at the start too. He just... Well, I guess, but he didn't have anyone to rely on. Klein probably would have gone with like a corpse collector or something too and been cooked. Yeah, so maybe not. I don't know. Maybe you're right. Aw, that is cute. Or... Well, Amnesiac, what do you call it? Rizal did succeed in becoming a Black Emperor. It was just the outside corruption from before that he couldn't get rid of. He succeeded in becoming Black Emperor. He did everything he was supposed to. It was just outside corruption that he just couldn't get rid of. Aw, this is so good too. Rizal, Bernadette, in the middle studying. They're so cute. Nope. No, that's my piece. Very cute. Roselle Gustav. Ah, no worries here. No worries. Mystery Prior. Damn. The throne... sorry, the crown of thorns. Good lord, I can't speak. That was sad. That was sad. That was truly sad. Damn, she came kitted out. Like, all right, bitches, I'm either getting my dad back or some shit's breaking loose. The High Priestess. Who is this? Try killing himself? Damn, that's really nice. That's really nice. Why is I see. Oh, transmigrate. I see. Wow, it's actually Roselle's fault he visited Abyss or Moon. He got no excuse. He just wanted to... It wasn't good enough skill issue. Damn. These are really good. Aw, look at him. He looks so sad. She looks so sad too. Oh, this is so cute. This is so cute. That's so cute. Just as a heads up, I might, I just got a message from YouTube. So after this stream is probably going to go straight to being privated, not members only for a little bit. I just need to know if there's any stuff that's going to get copyright strikes. If it's demonetized, I don't give a fuck. That's every stream, whatever. But cute, Milosh. Excuse me? Who's that? Aw. Aw, that's so cute. Roselle is proof that no matter how talented and smart you are, if you got bad luck, you're cooked. Yeah, no, luck is definitely true. Next stream when? Tomorrow afternoon, Dr. Z. So from tomorrow's streams, I'll be back to afternoon time. Aw, this is so cute. I have not been evading your messages, McSeely. Who sees an eerie glow red moon and thinks I want to go to... Okay, kind of based. Especially since he knows what the moon actually looks like. Not even in just the Lord of the Mysteries worlds here, in literally just our world.
Close your eyes.
No, it would closer to being like about 6 hours from now, Dr. Z. Oh, that's so cute. Roselle reading them to Bernadette. Bernadette reading them to Cat Leia. I see. Very cute. Have you heard about Dead Wife Demon Venerable? No. I assume that's... no, not tonight, Romero, but from like tomorrow when I start work. So from tomorrow it'll be... Oh wow, we're getting... Wait! The mother... Oh. Roselle really going all out, bro. The demoness. Good God. It's that motherfucker that banned RI and had a ton of... Wait, so Dead Wife Demon Venerable? What? That's a guy? Damn, Roselle. Okay. Really not, really going all out here. High quality one? Oh, that is nice. Would you guys be okay if we put this as the background? I really like this. Romero, what did you say? Wait, night stream? No, not today, bro. I just said that. Are you guys okay if we make this the new background? I really like this. Nightwalker, why so vehemently no? Good background, thank you. Okay, alright, everyone seems cool with it except Nightwalker, who's a vehement no. Absolutely not. Okay. Alright, fanbase calls him like that because his wife died. Oh, I see. Okay. Alright. It seems like a resounding yes. It's fine. Thank you, Romero. God, God, Romero's name does look cool with that, eh? Alright. Alright, I think we'll end stream there, guys. 2.5 hours, 8 chapters read, 9 chapters? 9 chapters read. That's good. And all the music checked. We're like an hour ahead of time, baby. This is the background, Kame. Alright, we'll end it there. Thank you everyone for coming. That was such a peak arc. Excuse me. I guessed this so long ago, but I mean, I was kind of right, kind of wrong. But thank you so much for coming. Have a great rest of your day or night. I will catch y'all tomorrow night, my time. As always, if you're not in our Discord, consider joining. Link in the description for heads up when I go live. That's it. Bye, guys.